Today we're taking a look at our Pentax K to Canon RF DLX Stretch lens adapter. This is a lens adapter that's designed to adapt vintage and modern Pentax K mount lenses to your mirrorless Canon RF camera, and this adapter has a built-in macro mode. It's got this black ring on the adapter, and when you rotate this ring, you actually extend the mount where the Pentax K lens mounts up to 10 millimeters farther away from your camera's sensor, which by adding this extra macro extension, you can turn even a Pentax K lens that doesn't have close focus into a close focusing macro lens. As you can see, this DLX Stretch adapter has a really nice finish. Here is the front where you mount the Pentax K lens. Here's the rear where you mount it to your camera. We have the black macro helicoid control ring, and we also have an aperture control ring. And this adapter just has a really nice professional finish, so it'll fit right in with your professional Canon RF gear. Now, how exactly do lens adapters work? How am I able to adapt a vintage film lens to a modern mirrorless digital camera? And the answer comes down to focal flange distance. Pentax K lenses, both old and modern, have a focal flange distance. It's about this long. Basically, that is the amount of space between where the lens mounts and where the film plane or digital sensor is, so the lens can focus to infinity. And the reason the space has to be this big is Pentax K cameras have a mirror that flaps up and down. And so you need that space for the mirror. So if we took this lens and we mounted it directly on a Canon RF mount camera, which we can't do because they're different mounts, but if we could do that, as you can see, the sensor of this camera is right behind this closed shutter. That's much closer. That's a lot less distance than this lens requires. So if we were able to put this lens directly on this camera, this lens would not be able to focus to infinity. Everything would be out of focus. We need to have the lens farther away from the mirrorless camera sensor for it to focus correctly. So we need some extra space, and that's where our lens adapters come in. And we make standard lens adapters that are basically just a piece of metal that adapt a lens to a camera, but we also make specialty adapters like this DLX Stretch, which has a built-in macro helicoid and built-in aperture control. Here's how to mount a Pentax K lens on this adapter. You're just going to find the mounting dot on the lens right here, and you're going to line it up with the mounting dot on the adapter. Press the Pentax K lens into the adapter and rotate it to lock it into place. And then to remove the lens, we're just going to find this silver button here on the side of the adapter, and we're actually going to press it down, pulling it away from the lens. And when we have it pressed down, it's unlocking the lens so you can remove it from the adapter. And when you're using a Pentax K lens, I can show you right here, as you're adjusting the aperture, look, it's staying locked wide open. And that's why these adapters have this control wheel. This control wheel actually allows you to unlock the aperture control so you can use it. We're just going to rotate it like this. There we go. Now we have full manual aperture control. If we leave it like this, it'll just stay wide open. Now, the other nice thing is, as you can see, when I'm adjusting the aperture with the control wheel on the lens, it's clicking between each aperture adjustment. But when I use the aperture control ring on the adapter, I can actually smoothly adjust the aperture. Got that smooth iris adjustment. So using this control ring on the adapter itself is great if you're shooting video and you want to adjust the aperture, but you want to do it smoothly rather than clicked. You know, you can always do a clicked adjustment, or you can do a smoother adjustment with this control ring. Here's how to mount the lens and adapter on our Canon R camera. You're just going to mount it like any Canon RF lens. Line up the red mounting dot on the adapter with the red mounting dot on the camera. Press the adapter into the camera and rotate it to lock it into place. There we go. Now we have this manual Pentax K lens adapted to our mirrorless Canon R camera. We've got the aperture control wheel, and we also have the built-in macro helicoid that we can rotate to add macro focus to any adapted Pentax K lens. Now, if we leave this adapter as is with the macro unextended, it works just like any other adapter. You can shoot normal photos. Now, this is a fully manual adapter. There are no electronic controls. There's no electronic communication. So you will have to adjust the focus manually, and you will have to adjust the aperture manually. Now, for the camera itself, you can leave it set in manual mode and you can choose everything manual, or you can use shutter priority or aperture priority. You just won't have autofocus or auto aperture control. You will have to manually focus and manually adjust the aperture. Let me show you how to use the macro helicoid adapter. Now, when we rotate this ring and we rotate it all the way, we're extending the lens 10 millimeters away from the camera's sensor. So instead of being at the correct focal flange distance for infinity focus, we're throwing it out of that correct distance so the lens can now focus super close up. It can no longer focus normally. It can't do portrait photography anymore. It can't focus on landscapes, but now it can focus much closer up for macro photography. And this is a really useful tool if you want to shoot close-up macro photos, but you don't have a macro Pentax K lens, because this will basically turn any adapted Pentax K lens into a closer focusing lens / macro lens. And with this lens, that's actually pretty useful because this lens does not have super close focus. It's about 1.5 feet, 0.45 meters of close focus. So you can't really do super close up stuff. But by rotating the macro helicoid adapter, extending it 10 millimeters farther away, we can now focus much closer up and we can create macro photos like these. And like I said, this is a really useful tool if you are trying to create macro photos, especially if you're shooting flower photography, macro insect photography, or even if you just want to capture really small details in a scene, you can do that with the DLX Stretch adapter. The DLX Stretch adapter also has another unique built-in feature, and that is rear-mounted ND filters. Each kit comes with a carrying case that includes 3 drop-in ND filters, ND4, ND8, and ND16, and they're really easy to put into the back of the adapter. Just going to rotate the adapter around the back, take your drop-in filter, and drop it into place, and it magnets in place, and it's a really tight fit. Now, to remove this filter, you're going to want to use a lens cloth, and that's super easy to do. Just take your lens cloth and press it out. And drop-in ND filters are really, really useful. Rear mounting your filter has a lot of great options. First off, it protects the sensor of your camera. So if you are switching out Pentax K lenses in the field and you have a drop-in ND filter in place, that's protecting the sensor from dust, from any sort of liquid. That is locking in place and protecting the sensor. Also, if you're shooting with multiple Pentax K lenses, let's say you have a set of 3 or 4, and if they all have different front filter thread sizes, if you wanted to use ND filters with them, you'd have to get either different ND filters for each Pentax K lens, or you'd have to use some sort of step-up filter, and you would have to constantly be switching the ND filter out to the different lenses. But having the ND filter built right into the adapter, having it dropped in the back, you can have one Pentax K lens on, remove it, and then mount another one, and that ND filtration stays right in place. And ND filters are a great tool if you are shooting photography and you want to shoot long exposure photography. Cutting the light coming through your lens means you can shoot a longer exposure and blur the motion of your scene. It's also great if you are shooting video and you want to shoot shallow focus in bright sunlight. You're going to want to step your lens all the way open, all the way. And a lot of light's going to be coming through. And if it's bright and sunny, that's going to overexpose your scene. Now you can slow your shutter speed down, but then you have juddery, shaky video. Much better to leave your shutter speed at a cinematic speed and just use an ND filter to cut the light coming through. So the DLX Stretch adapter is super useful because not only does it give any adapted lens macro focusing capabilities, it also has rear-mounted ND filtration. Okay, that was a quick look at our Pentax K to Canon RF DLX Stretch lens adapter. If you have any questions about this adapter, comment below. I'd love to help you out. Plus, click the links in the description below to learn more about this adapter and our entire line of DLX Stretch adapters for various lenses and cameras. We carry a whole line of DLX Stretch adapters, so if you don't have a Canon R camera or if you have a different kind of lens and you want to see if there is a DLX Stretch for you, click the link in the description below. You can see our entire listing. or comment below and ask if we have a specific adapter. I'd love to help you out. Plus, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.